Welcome to the Nifty Nuggets drive-thru, where every episode we sit down with project founders and get to know the ins and outs of what they're building, as well as learn a little about themselves. From the latest, most hyped projects to well-known established names in the NFT space. Today we are talking with the team behind Blank, which is an extremely creative project that's going to allow you to interact with a canvas and draw directly onto Opensea. I also want to remind you that if you want to be part of our exclusive Nug Club and experience these AMAs firsthand and ask questions of your very own, please make sure to grab your own Nifty Nugget on the Immutable X Marketplace. And if you don't want to miss any of our awesome AMAs in the future on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at NuggetsNifty, and you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Nuggets is whitelisted.
Hey, welcome, Nugs. Today, we're going to have the team from Blank for an AMA hosted by Nifty Nuggets. We have Max G, Muradif. If I butchered your name, feel free to let me know.
That's it.
And Zeppy. If you gentlemen could just start us off by giving us a little background on you guys, your roles with the Blank project, as well as any experience that you guys had in the NFT space before starting your project.
Yeah, okay. So I'll kickstart this thing. So this idea kind of came alive in late February, and basically I was just when the market is really down, a lot of times you get to think a lot about this space and where you can take things. So one day, when you wake up in bed, when you have everything that is like very clean and blank on the sheets, and you're like, oh wow, like I gotta go to the shower, like get the day moving, and then before you start your day, you just think your whole like mind is blank and everything is blank, and you start a whole day, every day is very new. Then this is how this idea really like came to be in my head. So then I found Morad, and we talked in depth about how we can actually bring this idea to life. Then we used our background knowledge, me as a finance major and a finance background that worked in the hedge fund before with a lot of the crypto funds. And then, we put things together. A lot of mistakes was made. A lot of unsuccessful attempts of canvases was made. But, at the end of the day, Morad is a very talented, back-end dev. And we have a front-end dev as well, Pierre, who is not here today. But, the whole team combined it together with the whole, that brought the whole idea to life. I think it took around a couple weeks to make everything spotless. But if you checked out our website, it's really, really good. I mean, I'm really happy with what we accomplished in the last few weeks. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I can go next. So I'm Murad, and we met with Max after he reached out to me about this project. And so I'm a passionate developer from Morocco, started coding when I was 12. Got into cryptocurrencies in 2011, and Bitcoin was like $16. And I started coding smart contracts in 2016. And in coding in general, I have a very low-level approach, and I always think about what the instructions I write actually do once they're compiled, how the compiler is going to understand them. And that's what I think enables me to maybe sometimes go past limitations that might feel obvious for a lot of developers and think, okay, it is possible. So that's the principle I go from, is that it is possible. I have to find out how. And that's, I think, one of the things that Max really appreciated, and that's when we started working together. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to wrap up the round of introductions. So yeah, my name's Seppi, and I've worked in this space mostly as an alpha analyst. I've kind of helped build up alpha sections for different servers, communities, projects, as well as like worked within several alpha groups. and I have tried to change the definition of what alpha is really in this space. And I know that sounds like a silly thing to say, but I've been I've been very, very much trying to kind of add, I guess, a qualitative and an educationary kind of feel to that. The way that I kind of got introduced to Blank and started working with Max and Murad is very much through, I've jumped into a lot of project advisory recently, and one of my primary goals in doing kind of advisory is trying to help projects move away from, what you would kind of call bullshit utility and kind of like the Ponzinomics, the sort of the random stuff that you would the random stuff that projects throw at you and promise you like a roadmap that doesn't really amount to anything. And that's what I was really trying to change in this space, and trying to work with like-minded individuals. And so that's how I kind of got introduced to the project. I was working with Max on another project just before that, and so he pitched the idea of Blank to me, and then we started and also just saw the kind of the talented development that was behind it, the absolute just the potential of that idea more than anything else drew me to the project very, very rapidly. And then from there we just started fleshing it out, building it out, and that's how we're here today.
Nice. So Max is founder. Moradif is which you guys call him Murad, right?
Murad.
Murad. Yeah.
Murad is the back-end dev and Zeppy advisor, correct?
So I'll take more like the operations side, and advisory. But yeah, that pretty much breaks it down. And like we all consider ourselves part of the kind of the core team as co-founders of the project. But yeah, Max is really the one that.
Okay, everyone's founders. Okay, good to know.
All of us.
Let's go. Okay, so you guys, I guess some of you guys, Zeppy has prior experience in the NFT space. Max, you as well? Were you doing any investing and trading before?
Yeah, so I started really digging into crypto when I started working at a hedge fund. That I didn't really do personal investing because you're not really allowed to do that. And then I left and started doing more corporate stuff. And that's when I started picking up on the NFT space. And, at the beginning, everyone starts off really slow. Everyone does a bit of grinding, a bit of whitelist hunting. That's when you actually really learn about the space. I found the learning curve from the beginning to here is a big jump. And in order to really run a project, you need to understand the fundamentals of how a community can be built from the really beginning. And so I started trading. I started doing my own alpha analysis. Same with ZPi. I did some calls. I did some analysis on Zuki. I did some analysis on a project called Kitty Crypto Gang. Then I started. I sent off the report. They really liked it, so I started being an advisor on that project. I launched really well. That's my experience on NFTs until more recently in 2022. I was like, I think I'm ready to do it, to launch my own project, because I see a lot of I know a lot of people now. I can build a really strong team, and we have done, and I'm really proud of the team that came together, that have the same vision and that has the same objective. It's just really nice to see that everyone, even in the core team and even outside the core team, new people that wants to join, and it's just their passion and their enthusiasm on this particular project really motivates me to bring it to the next level. I'm really happy to see that.
Well, one of our Nugget community members dubs himself as Kitty Crypto Gang leader. So we're happy that you guys are here, especially knowing that you did some analytical work on that project.
Mm-hmm. Kitty Crypto Gang leader. Why?
I don't know. That's what he dubs himself. Maybe we get him in here so he can tell us. Now, so you guys decide to come up with Blank. Was this together? Was it's birth from you, Max? But was that with you and Murad and Zeppy, or do you come up with it and then you bring on Murad and Zeppy?
Okay, so it was idea at the foundation. Then because I'm not a coder, I don't have that kind of skill set. I'm more of the guy with a bit of a vision and that wants to execute the vision. But then that's when I brought on Morad and Pierre. These two guys coded and did all the back end and front end development of the project. And then I was like, nah, I want to grow the team a little bit more. The more people in this space, and the more people you bring in, the more chances of success that you can have. I need advisors. I need people that take charge of the operations. I need people that take charge of the marketing side of the business. And that's when Zepi and Jess, which is also one of the core teams as of now. But she's been very busy in the last couple of days. So I consider everyone here a core team member. I consider that everything that we have accomplished is a team effort. I couldn't have done it myself. Everyone here is helped me either in a aspect that I had no understanding of, or helped me develop in a way that I could not thank them enough.
Okay, so what was the idea of Blank? How was that birthed?
Yeah, how was it birthed? It's quite funny because I always thought the idea of profile pictures is cool. It's cool to display, but you could never really have your own. You can only have a generated one. But then, when you start looking into it, there's so many projects that allows you to build your own NFT within their platform, or let you put different traits on your NFT based on their already drawn traits or different colors as well. But one of the things that didn't exist, in my opinion, was the fact that you could draw directly on Opensea platform. So we worked together. I was like, is this possible? Is this a thing that we can incorporate 16.6 million different color combinations into an NFT on the blockchain, and people can draw it on the OpenSea itself? So that's when we started really experimenting. It was just a basic idea of, look, a canvas that can be drawn by oil paintings can be bought for like a couple dollars or a couple quid in a shop. But if you have a digital one, and you have one that can be directly interacted, and anyone can interact with it on OpenSea, and people can get royalties from it. And this is something I was like, this could be potentially something that the market has not seen before, and I want to be the first one that tackles this exact idea. And that's how the idea came to be, to be honest.
So you mean where someone could create their own NFT from the OpenSea UI?
Yeah.
Interesting. And why 16.6 million colors?
That's the maximum amount of colors you can do.
And that's the 24-bit color depth standard that has been around for a while. It's
the
what
hex
can
code.
be represented with the hex codes, yeah. So 3 times 8 bits, it goes up to 16.6 million colors, yeah.
So you wanted to differentiate yourself in that you would create a project that not only could make your own unique NFT, but you could do it straight from OpenSea's UI instead of from your DApp or your
Exactly.
website.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So right now, what we're showing on the website is a demo. We already have a testnet one that is operational on OpenSea, but we took it down just in case anyone can take this idea and run off with it.
Okay.
But yeah, we tested it out. It works pretty good. We just need to do some final touching to the UI to make it 100% compatible. But yeah, it's looking really solid, and we're continuously to work on this. Excuse me.
I'm gonna drop the link as well into the AMA chat, into the Blank AMA, and you guys can check it out in there. But the canvas that you have in there is exactly what Max is saying, and that canvas, it's that would be the NFT. So on OpenSea, that would be your NFT, and you would be able to interact with it exactly like you can on that website when you try it out. It's also, you can press K and you'll get like all of the options there that you can kind of like play around with it and test it out as well. So that you've got the color picker at the top. You can change sort of, the brush stroke size, the razor and everything else. And it's still a work in progress, but definitely have a play around with it and let us know what you think.
Yeah, so this is the original idea. The idea was to bring this innovative project out into the world so people can just play around with it. And but then it kind of, the more we talked about it, the more game theory we thought about, the more like external, like the more reach that we developed and the more experience that we developed over the last couple months. And we were like, listen, this is an innovative project, but we cannot let it stop here. There's a lot more that we can do with this. We want to, be the center of the innovative frontier. And, in the NFT space, everything grows super fast. And you need to be able to, catch up to speed with whatever that comes up suddenly. So then that's when me and Zepi was talking with like, how can we do this? How can we, utilize what we already have and utilize the experience that we both have together in this space to push this project into something that is much bigger than what we thought it could be at the beginning. So I started thinking, and I was like, listen, let's just do a Genesis collection. We start off small. We start off by having really exclusive members into this project, and then we expand. And then we develop a game theory around the Gen 2, because with Gen 2 launch, you have a much bigger supply and you have a much bigger, overall canvas that you can explore. But at the foundation, we need to build up a community, build up a Genesis community with 400 limited supply that, can develop its community at its heart, at the heart of Blank. Then we can grow from there. And basically the idea behind this is that because Zepi is a analyst and he has his own army of analysts that provides really, really good alpha to not only some of the best projects like Zooverse, but a lot of other projects like Satoshi Runners as well. And we incorporated this as a first utility and first thing that the Blank holders will be able to see. And as of now, the calls that we have, I think right now we're averaging 4 or 5 calls, and the return on them is really good. A lot of people have said, "Wow, the alpha calls in this small Discord that is locked, is better than a lot of the things that they have seen." I mean, we have 5 in-house analysts, and we have a whole army of Zepi's analysts working at Unfiltered Alpha. So this became like the first utility. Then we were like, okay, how can we expand even more? We need to build the foundation and build and bridge a stepping stone into the next phase. And that's when we were like, okay, let's consider the fact that we're not going to be the first blank canvas, but we are going to be the first blank canvas to be interactable on Opensea. So we're like, what have other people done? What have other people invented? Because we classify ourselves as innovators in this space. We don't really, there's very few things that you can invent now. So we keep innovating with the ideas that have brought into the space either years ago or like just recently. So one of the things that was brought to our attention, it was the idea of pixel map. And the way that they did their dashboard is really cool. It came from the Zepi, what's it called? Is it millionaires?
$1 million homepage.
Yeah. $1 million homepage. So Pixel Map built up on top of that foundation and started, developing this advertisement space that you can display your chosen pixelated art on this gallery, I would say, or this map, and they sell the individual parcels to OpenSea. So we took a look at that. I was like, oh, this is really cool, but there is no game attached. There is just a It's just a advertisement place where you can buy and sell and probably display a NFT if you want. But it's not. We wanted to innovate on top of that, and how we can bring a fun and engaged community, not only at the very beginning of the genesis, but also how we can engage more people when we start expanding. And that's when we started developing a game theory around this big canvas that is going to be 3,840 x 3,840. So if someone is nuts enough, and someone is nuts to buy every single NFT and canvas out there, technically he can create a 4K image.
Or if they collaborate, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to happen because of the game theory that will be attached to it. Every single week, not only does that, like, the whole map will shift and randomize, people will have the chance from the second collection to be burnt into the first collection. And this is where it becomes really interesting, is because why would people want to burn into this first collection? And that's when we start adding the utilities and values that we thought would benefit not only the Genesis holders, but benefit the whole NFT industry. I mean, we'll try, and we have, I believe we'll have the reach to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think, and like everything that you touched on there, we're trying to basically change what it means to think about a project in terms of like what innovation for a project is, and really kind of use Blank as a, like, we wrote a manifesto out that essentially kind of states this, and actually, Max, if you could link it in the Blank AMA, it would be really useful as well. But essentially what we're trying to do is create the blank canvas for us is a canvas of imagination, and it's a canvas of like allowing, and like for us to be able to try these experiments in the Web3 space and try to do things like directly submittable art on Opensea, right? That's sort of where everything starts from right now, but it is just kind of the start. And I wanted to answer a couple of questions in the AMA as well, because I think Nugrider asked, that sounds really similar to like pixelated llama, and like, what's the sort of difference there? And again, it's, to our knowledge, it's the first interactive, like our project is one of the first interactive canvases on OpenSea, which means that you can, like, we wanted to capture creativity right there at its apex, where people are like browsing and playing around, like on the secondary markets, and we say OpenSea just in general, sort of with secondaries, and they're able to interact right there. They're able to submit, like they're able to do all of that stuff right there and then, without ever having to jump off into a separate website or anything like that, which was the problem kind of with pixelated llamas. And I mean, it was a project that was really interesting. It was like, it was a cool try. It was never meant to be anything else other than that, but it was just kind of a community-driven product more than anything else. We're trying to see what we can do in terms of what those canvases will really mean for the users, actually, and the sovereignty that the users will hold, or rather, the ownership that the users will hold over their own canvases. You almost act like your own landlord for a canvas, right? So you can jump onto our app and have a look at every single. You jump onto our app and you're able to sort of connect your wallet, and any canvas that you own, you can see all of the submissions that have been made for that canvas. So in that way, it's a very kind of interactive and cool way in which anyone could have basically come by, seen your canvas, and decided to add something, to add their own creation to it. And that's something that we're trying to encourage right from the get-go, is this sort of form of creativity and this like a really encouraging expression and really encouraging creativity. And then from there, how can we promote creativity? How could we endorse it? And then how can we take that and couple it with our core ethos, which is innovation, and bringing people on board who are truly like huge believers in wanting to be a part of a community that is going to experiment and dare to try new things and dare to see how we can kind of create some play around with some cool new toys, play around with some cool new tech, and kind of gamify the whole experience. How can we essentially take and cut out ultimately what is, in a lot of ways, a lot of people like start comparing blank to sort of like land within the space, and it's like it has some similarities in that sense, right? Because again, you're sort of like the landlord of your own canvas, because you have that ownership of like all the people that are submitting on there. You can see also optionally who submitted it, because they can leave their ETH address, and through those submissions, it's like, okay, well, what can we do with that? How can we propagate that? So there's some really cool things that we want to do there in terms of like the tokenomics that are going to be attached to this project, and the way in which and the way in which tokens factor into the use of those canvases and into the combination of those canvases, and then futurability of those canvases. But then all of that acts, like Max then said, as our like sort of like jump point into into everything else of that ecosystem that we're trying to build and create.
Now, when someone uses the mechanism to create their PFP on OpenSea, is that solidified, or are they able to change it then later?
So the way that it works is that they anyone is able to submit on a canvas, and it's the canvas owner who is then able to go into the canvas, any of the canvases that they own, and look at all those submissions. They can then choose to set and make their canvas static, as in they can choose one of the submissions and say yep, or even submit themselves, of course, and choose their own submission and say yep, that's the picture that I'm really happy with, and then they submit it, and then they set it. Once they've set it, that canvas is no longer editable, quote unquote. That canvas stops being a canvas, an infinite canvas, and instead turns into a set art piece that someone has created, and that's how it then displays in OpenSea as well, and people stop being able to interact with it. So that's going to be the idea, and it's an interesting thing, because you might ask yourself, like, I know that like one of my initial kind of responses was, well, why would I ever want to like stop my canvas from being a canvas? Like, why would I ever want to like set my picture, and why would I take that risk potentially? It's just like and that's where we've got some really interesting interesting game theory that's going to come into play. That I can definitely touch on a little bit, but we have a few ideas there. But essentially, the functionality of the canvas is an evolving one, and it only evolves through interaction with that canvas. I'm trying to be vague purposefully, because there's a few things that I don't think I could really talk about just yet. But the idea is that canvas is an evolving piece of functionality that if you want to interact with that canvas sort of going forward, you're going to have to play the game a little bit in that sense, and you will want to set your canvas as one of those solid pictures and then sell it. And that's where we're really trying to again encourage and that expression of creativity first and foremost, but then how do we gamify that experience, and how do we really make it that fun, like for people to like interact with it?
All right, so I'm intrigued. To the Nugget community paying attention, feel free to guess so that I can ask his question and make our guest squirm. What does he mean by it's evolving the canvas? Is that what you said? You said evolving, right?
I said evolving, yes.
Okay, so but let's do this, because you did say you would touch a little bit on the game theory, but let's do this, right? The moment you said that, I thought to myself, because obviously you guys probably figured out that that's the question that everybody's going to want to know. Like, well, why would we want this? Like, why would this be a thing? Or why would anyone ever set it then? Right? Because immediately in my head, what popped in was like, wait, why would I then set it? I would want people to infinitely create so that I could just keep seeing creations. Right. But right now, this is crazy. This is the extreme. I would start from this extreme, and then I'd boil my way down to something more logical, more doable. But let's say this thing catches on and it takes off, right? And artists, real artists, known artists, famous artists are hearing about it, and they decide they want to be cute about it, or maybe even competitive about it, and decide to pick one and create whatever art they wish to create on it. And then I go to myself, well, if the artist tells me who it is and is that big enough, then yeah, I would set it in that particular thing, because mine was created by Ferocious, right? So I want it to be known. And if Ferocious says to me, I'm going to create yours, and if you set it, I won't create for anyone else. You will have the only one that was created by Ferocious. Right. I'll be like, all right, so I'm going to set it. but that's what popped in my head. What can you touch on about game theory when it comes to
so it's really interesting that you touched actually on the idea of like, you know, big artists coming in. I'll loop back around to that in just a second, Track, but this is where I'm trying to be, you know, quite cautious, because we are still like trying to, I guess, we in terms of how we're developing this project, it's very much a kind of an experimenting ground of what we think is like, we don't like to set expectations of what you're going to be able to, like, you know, we don't want to end up promising like the ideas that you're going to start generating like massive amounts of money out of it or anything like that. But the moment that I mention the word token, people immediately start thinking, oh, is there going to be like a liquidity pool? Is there going to be like some play to earn aspect to it or something, or like display to earn, or God knows, or create to earn? But like this is where I'm going to be like really be cautious and try not to go too much into it. But what I can say is that there is this idea that exactly like I see this asked in very much echoed in the chat as well, because it's the very first question that we also had, which is like Queen Court basically put it beautifully, question, but why? Why would I do it? And yes, if it was someone famous, for instance, like adding it to, or even if like Gary Vee came over and Scrabbled to you and told you that it was him, and you'll be like, oh, and but you know, that there is that effect of like, okay, cool, you've got like a piece of like of something that's potentially valuable, because art is, again, it's subjective in its value 100%. And when you look at the objective value of an infinitely creatable canvas, you're like, well, I mean, I'm going to stick with that value proposition, right? Unless you give me another really solid one instead of it. To really try to not like spill the beans too much, you will want to be able to set your artwork in order to interact with the wider ecosystem. So the canvas in its raw format, where you are just drawing and submitting to it, has relatively limited functionality. And I'm not just talking from like a tool's perspective, like actually, like, you know, being able to actually draw on it, but what the canvas is going to be able to do.
I already get it. Cool. You're incentivizing people to set their canvas for further utility. I don't care about that stuff. This is what I care about, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm messing with you, obviously, but this is what I care about, right? We get real cute with because I like the gamification of this blank canvas thing, right? Me personally, to each their own. Everybody do your own research, not financial advice. We get, let's say, Gary Vee. No, because we're going to know his shitty art is going to stick out from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Damn, I shouldn't have said that because these are recorded. Gary Vee, we love you. So let's say we get a famous artist, right? Let's say we get, his name is Fuck Render, right? That's his name, right? I think the artist's name is Fuck Render, right? We get Fuck Render. Somehow you guys get him, and he comes to the community and says, hey, guys and gals, today I picked one of the canvases and I drew on it. And I'm not going to tell you guys which one it was. So now, as a holder, if there have been 10 canvases that have been drawn on that day, and no one knows who was the one that was done by Fuck Render, but you know that it has to be super valuable, because he'll also say, and I won't ever draw on anyone's else. You're going to have people with the idea of, do the 10 people that got drawings on theirs on that day, do they then set? Right. And do their best to figure out if it was on theirs that it was drawn.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. How can you know this? And this is one of the things that we were like, how can we actually input a verification for them to be able to choose and know which one is drawn? So then we decided, look, one of the best ways to do this is to have a wallet submission. So let's say Gary Vee owns a canvas, and then there's 10 people from his community. No, actually, let's use your example. A famous artist draws on 10 canvases. He will submit a wallet, and on his Twitter, he'll be like, oh, I drew on 10 canvases. I use this wallet address to submit. Every single holder of the Genesis collection or of blank can go to the back end, put into the search bar the wallet address that was used to submit the drawing, and then boom, you'll be able to know exactly which one he submitted.
on all of the ones that he has actually, and that's a really cool part. And actually, I'd love to kind of go back a little bit to what you were saying, attracted by the artists as well, because managed to reaching out to them and things like that. I think we definitely have a little bit of things to talk about there as well, Max. I don't know if you want to sort of talk about like our outreach in general to.
I want you guys to I get it. To incentivize people to set. You've gone about it by rewarding with access to further and or greater utility by setting it. I get it. And that's good because you do want people to set. You don't want everybody with blank canvases. But there's also, I think personally, a lot of value in just continue gamifying the blank canvas aspect of it. And I don't know if it's too costly, if it's unrealistic, but onboarding known artists to come and draw on people's canvases in a way that maybe you bring regular non-Fiverr artists to draw on people's stuff so that no one knows which one it is.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, you got to pick if you want to do it, if you want to set it, like just gamify it that way. I just think it's dope.
Well, no, 100%. And this is the thing, like we've been actually talking to a lot of artists just within the last couple of weeks and showing the project to them and sort of getting their thoughts on it. And we are onboarding them directly into the community. And one of the things that we really want to do, and it's like, it's amazing that you sort of independently, without us really even saying anything, you kind of like started coming, like, and coming up with maybe an iteration of what that onboarding looks like, because we haven't really said anything about why we have these artists in our community, but we've been talking to them. We've been talking to quite a few of them, even regular Web2 artists who are don't know much about NFTs, because we also see the blank canvas, maybe not even like in its current iteration, the blank canvas is a great gateway for those artists to maybe be able to interact with the idea. Because if you think about it, it is a true Web3 definition of art, and it's a collaborative, decentralized art as well, right? Because you can draw a piece of art and you can upload it onto Pinterest or ArtStation or Twitter or whatever, and that's just you've drawn something, that's your piece, right? And it's like but it doesn't, nothing about it inherently brings in that aspect of Web3. And that's where we think blank is inherently different, because it embodies and at its core is built on the ideas of Web3. And so we're using that as a sort of, and when we pitch to these artists and we're like bringing them on board, they're thinking about it and they go, wow, like that, like, for them, it clicks. But when they haven't and they don't even know that it's possible, because even if they heard, like, especially when we're talking to Web2 artists and they've heard about the ideas of what NFTs could be, and then we're like, but they've never heard of anything like generative dungeons, of course, and they've never heard of anything, or even like the NFTs, the interactive NFTs that have preceded those, right? And we tell them, oh yeah, by the way, your NFT can be interactive, and they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, and this is what blank is, and they're like, oh wow, and that's when like the penny really drops, so to speak. So yeah, that's where we're really trying to that's what we're trying to utilize there as best as possible.
I mean, I got intrigued, and it kind of plays into let me touch on some community question. It kind of plays into what Court's going to ask next, but I got intrigued of like why would I care to do it on Opensea, right? And then because I approach all of these, I don't approach these like the nerd who's just genuinely interested. I approach these as the investor trader within me, right? And then I look for what the nerd or the purist would find valuable, right? Would be into and would think is cool. And I said, oh, okay, so then it's I can draw it on Opensea. Now, why is that valuable? And then now I see why it's valuable. If it is gamified, if people do start, if it does become a trend for people to just go and draw on other people's stuff, to see if someone will create that as an NFT and it's basically enshrined in the blockchain forever. I'll touch on one of the community questions now. Queen Court asks, why not just make your own art in PS and then upload to OpenSea and sell? Laugh out loud. She also comments, I posted a cat pooping a couple days ago. It sold.
There you go.
Yeah, you can totally do that too. I'm sorry. Yeah, just want to say it's so I think the main word here, and that Max also emphasized a lot, is experimentation. And first, this project came with the question: is this possible? Can we do this? Can we make people draw and then be the NFT in the end? And we started playing around with the idea, and it turns out we can. And so the NFTs in general, and like the genesis of the NFT standard was experimentation. And we had fungible tokens and ICOs, and someone at the midst of the ICO bubble was thinking about this and posted, I think it was November 2018, and this became a standard. This became ERC 721 and said, hey, it's cool, we have tokens, let's try to have tokens that are actually non-fungible, that we can track by ID instead of by balance and supply. And many people have been playing around with just what is possible technically, and because it would be fun, because it would be a challenge, and also because it would interest people. And I think that's one big factor of what attracts people in the NFT space, is just to realize what is possible. So I think it's definitely not just there, but for me, it's already a big argument just to say that, hey, we're showing stuff that is now possible.
Yeah. So we want to first, we want to start small. We want to be like, listen, Blank is, at the core, wants to be innovative, wants to put the community first, wants to be able to, provide this kind of new essence or new sense of what's possible into the space. But one of the reasons that it's interactive on Opensea, and one of the reasons why we target solely and super hard on like the Neo Tokyo community, Nifty Nugget community, big alpha groups, big influencers, is because of the ability for them to put restrictions onto the NFT themselves. What I mean by that is, like, let's say, for example, attract. Okay, you have a lot of boys inside the Nifty Nuggets. Well, anyone that has a lot of boys inside Nifty Nugget, then you'll be like, listen, I want to run a giveaway inside the Nifty Nugget community. Anyone that holds a Nifty Nugget can draw on my NFT. No one else can. And the ability to do this is for you super easily, go to the backend portal, go to the holder access portal, and you submit your condition, which is you put in the contract of the Nifty Nuggets, and then boom, the only submissions that will go through into your backend portal will be the ones that is in the Nifty Nugget community. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that Queen Court is going to draw on your NFT. She draws on your NFT, then submits her wallet, and the wallet is not in the contract, or did not mint, or did not own a Nifty Nugget. You will not be able to see it. Okay, so then that adds up another layer of fun, solely dedicated to like project founders or community members that wants to run this kind of
So I can set it to where I only want a certain group of people to be able to make submissions, so that then when those people make submissions, or anyone makes submissions, they will have to submit their wallet, and your backend will verify that they hold within their wallet whatever is even necessary for me to even see that submission.
Yeah.
Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So when we were talking to Ollie from Zoofers, how he was like, oh, listen, but what if I want to run a giveaway in my community? Let's say that I want to give like 0.5 ETH or something, or a Zoofers NFT to a person that drew the best on my canvas. What do I do? How can I know? I'm be like, dude, it's very easy. All you need to do is that at the back end, you can put into the contract number, and it's verified. After that's verified, only Zoofers Genesis holders can submit their wallet, can submit their art on your particular NFT.
Well, I get it. I have Court on stage. Court always has a lot of questions, and they're definitely of value to the community. So, and plus, I wanted to ask her here, make this AMA even more interested. So, Court herself said she put a picture of a cat pooping, and someone bought it, and I'm just like, well, someone bought it. Wouldn't you ask that same question of the person that bought your cat pooping? Court? If Court's with us.
Ask them what question?
A similar question to that you're asking here, like, why wouldn't I just do this? Why wouldn't the person that bought the picture of your cat pooping, why didn't they just go take their own picture of cat poop in the park instead of paying you for it?
Because my cat pooping has a special finesse. It's in the line work. It's in the facial expression. They wouldn't have been able to capture it themselves. It was a masterpiece that took years of skill building, and Kiki couldn't have done that.
I respect. I don't want to talk down on the artist's integrity here, but no, Court, feel free. I know you got some questions. Hit the homies up with what you want to know.
You know, I actually don't have any this time. I was wondering why you were pulling me on stage.
I was like, let me ask this question, and then let me let Court ask some of the questions from more of the space of like, is this like really even worth it, right? Like, just so that I can see the gentleman describe the value that they have or that they see in their project, because I see it, but then that immediately means I'm biased, right? So I'd like the questions also coming from someone that says, no, I don't see it. Why is it value? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. So I was listening to the explanation of including people in your contract for basically being able to sell whatever image they had just created in your blank canvas tool. I was trying to follow the mental gymnastics of why someone would actually want that to happen, though. I guess, like, from my end, I go in there, I draw a pooping cat. Why do I care if I'm in a contract?
No, it's a really good question, and I'd love to sort of like I'd love to get back on it, because it's so the idea behind it at the end of the day is like we're starting out with relatively non-complex pixel art canvases, right? Like at the end of the day, you're drawing relatively more simplistic drawings that can be incredibly sophisticated, and that's what we're starting out with. The canvases are going to evolve down the line, and they are, and there's, and I actually want to touch on that a little bit, because I feel like we've actually missed one large chunk of explanation, which is the difference between Genesis and Gen 2, and I want to talk about that a little bit as well. But Court, to your question, like if you could literally just take that picture, like you said, and list it yourself, and just put it on Opensea, and someone will buy it potentially, or leave it. Like hundreds of thousands of pictures have been left. The first thing that I would say is our selling point to you isn't that you're going to like that you are going to potentially like take this picture, sell it on blank, instead of just selling it as an NFT on Opensea by itself, because that's not the interaction with the ecosystem necessarily that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve expression and endorsement of creativity across the blank space. And so in that sense, any picture that you upload onto the blank canvases is more of a social kind of experience, where you're either uploading it onto like someone else's canvas. You can even upload it onto your own canvas, but you're interacting with the larger ecosystem. And in that sense, that picture as well, if like you can evaluate it at any given price as well, obviously, because you can evaluate your own NFT that you draw on, or if it was your own at any given price, and put that on OpenSea. If you were to do it on someone else's NFT, you can't do that. You can't tell them actually, hey, accept my submission, unless you're in their DMs and you know whose canvas it is. It's like, hey, accept my submission and set it to that price, because that's what I want to sell it at. And what we can do really from that Ether submission address is we are going to be able to essentially reward the artist, as well as reward the person who took the initiative or took the risk to set that piece of art onto their canvas. But the idea is that you're now buying into the ecosystem of what blank is, rather than kind of selling it by yourself, because the point of it, like the other big point, is that we want to be able to endorse your picture. We want to be able to actually get you to interact with the rest of that space. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we're planning to do that as well, because, Court, as well, you might have actually like an amazing following on OpenSea, or you might be able to tweet out your thing on Twitter and be like, hey guys, come buy my thing, and people will like pay attention to it. Great. But there's a lot of people that don't quite have that outreach either. And this is one of the things that we're trying to also change with Blank is the ability of getting eyes onto the collection. So the way that we're planning to do that is we're onboarding artists, and we're working with them, and then we're going to do some really cool stuff there. More to come on that soon. But second thing is the Genesis collection. And Max, am I okay to sort of touch on the Genesis collection?
Just real quick, I see that Murad is saying that he has to go. We're gonna miss you, Murad. Thank you for stopping by. Is he still here? We appreciate that you did come by and start sharing with us. Continue, guys. Apologies on the interruption.
Huge thank you, Murad. Yeah, and likewise. And so in terms of the Genesis collection, we have 400 Genesis canvases. They are 64 by 64 canvases, and the way that we're currently doing our Genesis releases, there's only going to be there's 400 of them in that release that are going to form the center of that big blank map that we're making, right? And they form very much the center of them. They're already fixed. And so we're working very hard to bring the right people on board that will basically own a Genesis collection. We're talking to founders, we're talking to influencers, product founders and influencers, and notable people in this space who are interested in this idea, and or even just individuals who just love to kind of engage with this and have and sort of have a tie into this space. And what we're telling them is, hey, your original Genesis canvases are you're going to be part of a much bigger picture, because you're going to form the center of it, really, of this blank map, and you're going to form the center both metaphorically of this, literally of this blank map, but also kind of figuratively within our community, because we want to build our community on top of pillars of recognition and interconnectedness with other communities. So we're talking to lots of different project founders. We've already reached out and we brought in Zooverse on board. We've brought in quite a few other projects. I'm kind of blanking because Max mainly does that part of the outreach. But we're talking to lots of different communities there, and a lot of them are super interested in the concept in general. But the idea of owning a Genesis means that you actually have permanent advertising space right there in the middle for your community. So imagine that the center of the space is essentially almost like a who's who of potential projects and potential product founders, potential influencers, with their logos and with their ideas and with their kind of just advertised in the center of our space. And they form the kind of the core pillar of our community. And the reason for that is that they will be able to provide that outreach to all of those other communities, and be able to kind of host those types of contests and events, potentially like we were mentioning with Zooverse, where Ollie, the founder of Zooverse, would just be able to go, hey, yeah, I want to run a contest art giveaway and show the best of what my community has to offer, and we can then see all of the submissions on that Zooverse tile, so to speak. And then there will be next to it the Llamaverse tile, and then next to it there'll be the Nifty Nuggets tile, and there'll be loads of these tiles, these 400 original tiles that are essentially a complete outspread and outreach to all of these other communities that bring eyes and bring kind of a connectedness to the larger blank ecosystem. And then through that you'll be able to, naturally, because they exist sort of within the same collection, you'll be able to naturally bring your eyes back into all of the other pieces that are being created. And then on top of that, you'll have the artists who are also going to be jumping on board and going to be able to create some really, really amazing stuff. And we're already talking to pixel artists in the space as well, huge pixel artists who have drawn some really famous pieces and created some really famous collections as well, and trying to bring them on board as well to again participate in that. So I guess to answer your question, it's it provides you a network that you can directly submit into, but it also allows you a network of other communities and lots of eyes, rather than a network that you wouldn't potentially have established yourself for a lot of people that would be using Blank. And then more broadly, you will be buying into the larger ecosystem of what we have planned, and that's what we're going to really touch on when it comes to sort of releasing our mind map and everything else that we're going to be doing kind of with Blank kind of going forward.
I mean, my mind is moving a million miles a second, right? With the ideas of Blank, and I just want to shoot a couple of them off, right? Not that I expect you guys to do this, but just it's even birthing questions within me. For example, let's say I'm in the community, right? I'm immediately working to get myself within your team, as some type of advisor or some type of collab manager or something like that. And the reason would be so that I could shoot like the following ideas. I'm going to be like, listen, how about we go to 20 communities that we handpick and tell them something like, hey, your artist for your thing can draw on 20 of ours and create whatever NFT your artist wants to. Like, so the Nifty Nugget NFT, the Nifty Nugget artist can create a nugget for one of the blank canvases, and that will be a full-blown collab, whereas whoever has that one or gets that one will be able to have access to the Nifty Nugget community no different than any other holder, and celebrate that and promote that, right? And do that for a bunch of other projects. Or it would be something, and this is why I would hope you guys aren't penalizing the people that don't set their thing so much, is because I might just want to hold mine as blank until I can get like a really dope artist to do mine. Because like I can see, for example, another thing that I would be pestering you guys on, I'm like, let's do a full-blown marketing campaign to get to Vitalik, because Vitalik was in love with the loot boxes. He loved the abstract nature of it, the like build your own world aspect of it, right? So I'd love for him to know, hey, there's this project that's a blank canvas and people can come to do whatever they wish on it. And I, as the owner of this NFT, can decide to set it, which will then become my NFT in perpetuity. I think maybe he'd find that interesting, and maybe we could convince him to do the first one. Like, hey, come, we have 10 people that we're going to raffle that said that they would want you to do whatever you wish. You could just sign your name for all we care. But whatever you do on it, they're going to set it. 10 people want it, and we're raffling it to one of them. Like the ideas are just limit. Like there's no stop to them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, this is what excites us about it more than anything else. It's like this is what we mean when we truly say that it's like this is a blank canvas for all of us. It's like when I've worked on so many different projects, right? Where like I'm sitting there and I'm basically trying to help them build utility that is essentially a rehash of some other utility, because that's what they're absolutely insisting on doing. And I'm like, and I'm all the meanwhile I'm sitting there and I'm like, I wish I wasn't as confined with those projects as I could be. And that's, I think, what really appealed to me about Blank. It's just like it's just the ideas of what is just potentially conceivable, simply because of the social element, the technical element, and then just the decentralization element of it, and bringing that all together to just truly create like an infinity of possibilities.
And there was another one that would be cool. I wish Murad was still here with us so I could ask him if that was even possible and they're too much work. Because another thing could be like, if it gets really big, right, and we want to do marketing campaigns and stuff where you're look how I'm talking like I'm part of the team already, and we're approaching different artists like, hey man, come on, it's gonna be cool. You could probably change someone's life if you draw on their thing. Doing something along the lines of like, if it could be put on the back end that, well, okay, if I do it, but I own 10% of that NFT in perpetuity forever if I do it. Like something like that. I don't even know if it's possible, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah. No, it's actually totally possible. We were talking about like sort of like shared percentage or shared royalty percentages for sort of like and what that might look like. It's something that can be done. I speak as myself as a software developer in like more in the Web2 space, but I've had lots of conversations with Murad about the technical side of this, and like there's some really interesting stuff that we can do with it. And this is the other thing, is just like, well, I know that the team is capable of doing these things. It's just about what makes sense at what time, and how do we evolve it as time progresses, and like adding things like that, for instance, like where there's this potential shared like element of ownership, and I mean there's so many possibilities.
I think the idea is really cool, like you're mentioning earlier, where the power of certain platforms, especially for creators, whether it's something like Etsy or anything else, is sort of having that collective where the social network is built in to be able to sell your work. I think that part is really cool, and I agree with Attract that it would probably be better to have some sort of mechanism built in like that, where you could continue to receive royalties on something that you contributed to. Maybe it would have to be something where the two people agree up front that, hey, I'm drawing on your canvas, so give a cut, whatever, before you find that out on the back end. But my question is about the UX itself. I'm playing with this just because I'm curious, and the Control K thing is killing me. Is there a reason for that design? Or are you just trying to keep it clean, or have you had like a bunch of people like beta testing this and giving you active feedback? And what kind of interest do you have from bigger artists in the project so far? Do you have anything?
So when
What do you mean the Control K is killing you? Are you on PC? Yeah, not on Mac.
Yeah.
So
I'm on a Mac.
Sorry,
Mac.
you're on Mac.
Yep.
Yeah, you should just be able to press K. You don't need to press Control K.
Are you keeping the menu having to be a pop-up because how it fits on like mobile, or
No, so if we keep the menu to the left, then OpenSea will not be able to display the whole canvas.
Yeah, that's the main thing behind it. It has to function as a pop-up right now. In order for it to, again, because this will be the canvas that will be on OpenSea, and it would essentially just squish the canvas and obfuscate it massively. So we have, it's an interesting challenge, the design challenge, because I agree with you, it wouldn't be necessarily how you would design like art software in general, but because we're playing with this kind of new confine of having to make it accessible on secondary marketplaces, is like, well, now we have a very, very fixed size to play with, and we need to also provide an absolute, full blank canvas that you can draw on. So
yeah, and it's kind of a balancing act for any sort of art UI, like even Procreate, like there's so much stuff that has to be hidden in there that you wouldn't even realize it has those features. So even for something simpler like this, I'm sure that's a problem, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so to answer your question also regarding like onboarding artists, have they shown interest? In the last 1.5 months, there's been some really interesting conversations, and the team have seen just the foundation of the art of these guys, what they're able to create. And these kind of artists, they came from a place where they usually use Photoshop, as you said, as their main way to construct art, right? And yeah, if they want to come and do a pixelated 64x64, they're more than welcome, but a pixel art, in my opinion, is also a bit constricting to their, abilities. And this is where, the future development really comes into play. And, Blank serves as a foundation and also as a stepping stone to where we are able to take it. And the reason for that being is like, I don't know, Zepi, stop me whenever if I say too much, okay? Because I have this, I have a way of speaking that I just speak too much, and I'll give away too much information that is a little bit confidential. So stop me whenever if I said too much. So, we have this kind of artist that wants to do more, wants to be able to use our network, to use our foundation that we have built in order to release their own either Web3 presence or their own NFT collection. And the way for them to do this is that we have signed 3 contracts with 3 different artists. One of them is probably one, in my opinion, one of the biggest artists today, not today, but in the last couple of years. His art is displayed across Paris and is displayed across all over the world, and it's getting sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the other artist, he's more focused on banners. He's more focused on this futuristic abstract of what the world could be. And the way that they do this is going to be through our successful launch of the Genesis collection, and what we can offer, our Genesis holders in order to acquire them for free, and for them to be able to, bring their art through Blank and through our subsidiary in order to, bring it into the NFT space. Because a lot of these artists are very well known in RL, in real life, or in Web 2, but they have really like numerous troubles for them to be able to bridge into this space. And interestingly, I think that yesterday or the day before, we got off a really interesting phone call, didn't we, with or with these Neo Tokyo guys that that shares a similar vision and wants to work in a partnership to bring traditional art into the space, and they want to bridge a connection with us and launch it with us in order to
now you're touching into the area as well.
Okay.
Let's shut Max down again. Like, let's just mute him completely. But
that's actually really cool, though, because I think just coming into this in the beginning, and I had to drop for a couple minutes and hop back on, and obviously Attract then pulled me up here. But
can you guys hear me? Someone mute Zeppy ASAP. Keep talking, Max. Don't worry about it. Apologies, Corey.
No, but like yesterday, I was on a call and I was saying way too much. I was like, "Oh my god!"
It's like there's just so much stuff, and there's like so much that I mean, here's the thing: we want to build Blank on a process of making sure that like the community is able to like experience it in its natural stages of evolution. And there's like so much stuff that obviously we have to do in preparation to get those stages of evolution going, right? And so that's where I'm like, okay, well, there's lots of really, really fun stuff. But yeah, sorry, Cole, I think it was
yeah, apologies, Cole, go ahead. Apologies.
I was gonna say, so like just looking at this at the surface, when we first jumped into this, I seriously would have just looked at this and be like, yeah, okay, like another app that you could download on your phone to make pixel art, right? And I don't know how many AMAs you guys have had so far, but I would say you guys should probably talk about this part of it a little bit more up front, because I think that's the really cool part, is where everything can go and the broader potential for it to be almost more of like a platform, whether that's what we talked about with the socialized part of art and being able to sell it. And obviously there's sort of like that neural network kind of idea of how you actually communicate with other people and sell, right? But like there's the other part too of it being more of this like launch pad sort of idea that you guys are starting to touch on, even if it's a little bit too far down the rabbit hole for what you're wanting to reveal right now.
The thing is, it's not too far. Sorry. Yeah, the thing is, it's not too far. It's just that, revealing too much at the beginning is always a risk to be either front run, or this is why I need Zeppy to cut me off. This, yeah. But
I think just overall though, for getting people really hyped about this project, because I think that you guys are going in a really good direction with it. It's exciting. I wouldn't have realized how much of a broader vision it was, and we're like an hour into the AMA. So that would be my one little tip, I guess, would be to kind of put that out there sooner, I guess.
100%. No, I really appreciate that feedback. Like that's something that we've been, like we've had a few AMAs so far with like, like a handful of communities, and it's been, one of the things that I think, that it's an incredibly good piece of feedback, because it is very easy to dismiss like Blank for what it could be, and obviously and we don't want that ever to happen. So making people aware of like the larger kind of ecosystem of it and where it's heading, and just the potential and the just where it can go, I think it's going to be it's going to be like the hardest battle really, and that's what we're working on so hard, like on a day-to-day basis. And like Max is having calls with so many different people. It's just like we have an incredibly sort of well-connected just a well-connected kind of people within the space who are like on the team and are helping us just get the outreach that we need, and get talking to the right people who can like really genuinely show their passion for this, and really like completely can see what we're trying to do with it and where we're trying to head with it as well, and just want to be a part of that journey. And that for us has been like the most exciting thing, sort of like when building it, because honestly when it started, it was literally a blank canvas. So we were like, I mean, there isn't many ideas that you can ascribe to that, but that's the beauty of it. And that's what we're trying to maintain as well throughout it. That's the ethos that we're trying to maintain throughout it as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually what I was like a little bit confused on coming into this at first, because I was like, blank canvas. Like, as someone who draws, I don't want to see a blank canvas. Like, where's the fun in that? And it's just like a tool, right? I think if you can communicate it more as like a means to an end, like, yes, it's an NFT right now, whoop-de-doo, fun. Like, it's like a fun little app, right? But like, I think the clearly communicating that on your roadmap will be really important.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate that feedback. We'll definitely take it on
thank you.
Going forward as well. And yeah, I believe the Max, the roadmap as well as or what you
so yeah, this is one of the things I was a bit hesitant to disclose because the roadmap, we're not calling it a roadmap, right? We're calling it your canvas and our canvas. Your canvas is obviously the 64 by 64, and our canvas is what we can draw on, right? What we can bring. And we are releasing this in the next 1 or 2 days. We're just doing the final touches. And actually, right now, Flopnox, I literally found him in here. This is not planned, okay? He have been in the blank Discord, I think, from February or something. And I literally just saw him in the chat. I was like, why not bring a OG on from the very beginning and see what he thinks of the project?
Yeah, hi guys.
I just posted this in chat, but can you guys send a link to your Discord?
Oh, so the Discord right now is closed. Okay. While Flopnox is talking, how many people is in here? 43. I'll send out a 50 use invite so everyone can have a chance to get into the Discord, okay?
If you could do, Max, a little bit more, just because we have people that then watch this after, if they're at work, they'll listen to the recording. That's appreciated. And yeah, is it Flopnox? Anything you'd like to share to help us understand the project better?
I just wanted to say, well, I don't know, none of this was fan read, but yeah, I think it was really fun just messing around with the app. Now the canvas is even bigger, so I think it's gonna be even more fun. And it was like one of the better, I mean, I was super early to it, but yeah, it was like probably the best whitelist I've done. So the most fun, I guess. Yeah.
So the community is hype. Now, there's a couple questions. Yeah. Go ahead, Flop. Apologies.
No, I was just gonna say the alpha there is also really good, I think. Yeah.
Well, I understand Zeppy's been doing the alpha game for a while, so I would expect it to be alpha over there. I'm gonna jump in there, see what I can get into from some of those calls.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it'd be good to. Currently, we're launching basically like a separate service on of what we're building, which is called Unfiltered, and Blank is currently one of the only communities receiving unfiltered calls alongside with very, very handful of very select communities. So have a look. And then, like Max said, we also have a few in-house analysts as well that we can continuously working with to essentially create an alpha culture within Blank, because that's something that I'm massively passionate about. Max is really passionate about as well. Is really making sure that I'll the idea of alpha is people engage with it properly and it's good alpha. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that you like it. Really, really, really great to hear.
Okay, I want to touch on a couple things that I feel we got a little bit sidetracked. So I'll go into them now. So I know there's further utility as far as whether you set or you don't. You don't want to touch on too many specifics or much on as far as specifics so that you don't give too much away. What can you share that's already on your canvas, our canvas strategy? What can you share that hasn't been shared so far in reference to utility?
Max, do you want to take that one?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna pull it up. Yeah, so what I can share and will be public in the next couple of days is that the first thing that we're gonna after launch we're gonna do is bring out this gallery, right? We shared that already. We're gonna bring out so you guys can see this. The second thing we're gonna bring out is this tokenomics system, and we're working. We're going to onboard which tokens did he do? I'm not really.
We're onboarding Wolf onto the project over the next few days.
Wolf is everywhere. Someone tag Wolf in here.
Dude, Wolf is literally everywhere. I mean, I've been working with the guy for a while now, and we've been in a few different projects, and we had such a beautiful overlap because I was doing a lot of sort of tokenomics, and obviously he was at the same time, and my focus was a lot more on utility and building out sort of roadmaps. He ended up entering into more sort of game design and obviously specializing in tokenomics because, like you said, he's everywhere. He's doing he did Disto Apes, got Jira. He's working on Few right now. He's just working on like every freaking project out there right now that has a reputation. And we were talking to him. We showed him blank. Like I was like, and the great thing is that me and him are like, man, me and him are literally on the same page about so many of these things. And we really do want to move away from the bullshit tokenomics. We're really trying to like to create something that's a little bit, like sustainable. And actually like just the idea of how early we are in this space. And that's when we showed him blank and I was talking with him about it, like he was saying, dude, Zeppy, like with the moment that we jump on a project together, because we know what we can do on a project when we're working, like when both our minds are on it, like we can do some freaking incredible stuff. And yeah, I mean, he was really, really hyped to come on board with this one.
And after the call, literally, after the call with him, I think 2 days ago, I got a ping on my phone. I was like, what is this? I opened up Twitter and he was like, oh guys, check out blank. No one have asked him to do that. I was like, what? Yeah.
He freaking loves the product, man. He's really, really passionate about it because he aligns so well with our vision for it. Like he really does. Like, and I think, and that's where we are going to be able to create some really, really amazing stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna start jumping in Wolf's DMs. I'm gonna tell him straight out the bat, but sir, I will hang on to your coattails, sir, because you see you do like he's everywhere.
You want to?
He's super young. Huh?
Yeah, he's so. I mean, the guy's just ridiculously talented for his age. But Tract, if you want him for an AMA or something on the Nifty Nuggets, there's
Wolf is a nugget. Wolf is a nugget. Wolf is a homie. He's a nugget.
Bring him on then. Where is he?
He's here.
Is he in right now?
Yeah.
Wolf, come on stage.
I'm out right now, but I got spammed so many times.
You freaking. I didn't know you were a nugget, man. What the hell?
Zeppy's here as well. What the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
Wolf,
how you guys doing?
Wolf is an honorary nugget. I don't know why he's not holding one. As a matter of fact, Wolf, I'm going to start pressing you. No. You're holding one real quick.
Please, I need a nugget, bro. I've been saying for ages I need a nugget. You guys are not giving me one. I've been here for months.
I need some of that heat you're getting, though, bro. Like, if I give it to you for free, then I got to give it to other people for free. I need some of that.
I'll give some equity. I actually gave out some equity today, to be fair. You're a little bit.
I know that's right. I'm still holding you to put me in, to give me roles in this waves. I'm not in the server yet, but I'm going to get in there.
That's true. Yeah, Elder Council. I'll get Elder Council there. What? Wait, in this AMA, what are you even able to reveal, Max? Because I know you guys have so much secret shit.
We got Zeppy over here playing defense. I'm about to mute his mic.
I've been trying my best, man. I've been trying my best. I mean, Wolf, I'm talking about it.
The whole time, bro. My brother's scoring. That's hilarious.
Max knows his limitations. He gets Zeppy ready. He's like, listen, I'm going to start talking. Stop me if it's a lot.
Well, because I sound the coolest guys. They're just mapping out like all this.
Oh.
Leak on.
Wolf rugged us.
Every time, man. But yeah, like.
Someone else rugged him so he wouldn't leak anything.
Well, if you can hear us, we were just saying that we had a call with you as well a couple of days ago. And we're going to hopefully, be onboarding you onto this project like over the next coming days because it's like, there's so much stuff that we can do.
I want to get on. Usually, I want to get on. Like I would try and get onto this project because it's fucking cool. I mean, look at the front end, man. Go look at the website, man. Go look at the website. It's fucking beautiful.
Get the homie Wolf in for the tokenomics. That way, I got my foot in there. I'm selfish.
Just like, hey, Wolfie, you better give me some equity in this bitch.
Listen, I'm holding on to these coattails all the way up this mountain with you. All right, gentlemen. So, just any further utility we didn't touch on.
Yeah. So before I touch up on that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send 5 invites that will automatically whitelist the first 5 people that clicks on the link. Okay. So it's a show of appreciation for you guys to host this AMA for us.
That is much appreciated.
Then what I will do is I will give you guys 100 invites, and it's unlimited time. So anyone that after the AMA can also join. So I'll just get that out.
Wait, don't drop that link yet. Wait.
Didn't he?
Did he drop it?
Oh, was that the one, Max?
It's done. It's finished.
Oh man!
Don't worry. I will send you a private one. Don't worry, mate.
Let's go.
Private one too. I'm sitting here talking. I didn't even see it.
Man.
Please give me one.
The one I just sent, the latest one is 100 invites. It won't get you automatic whitelist, but you'll have a Nifty Nugget tag.
Let's go. Okay, gentlemen. The only thing I think that we did touch on all the utility that you can share. Is that fair to say?
No. I'll continue.
Go ahead.
I'll continue. So yeah, to go more into depth about the token, we will discuss with Wolf later. The second generation will be a 32x32 canvas, right? A much smaller supply, a much bigger supply of 12.8K, and it will make up the big gamified canvas. The Genesis will not be gamified because it's static. It's ones that is holding for a while and they want to be there. And if we allow them to gamify, it's not rewarding them. So
the blank map specifically, you mean like the blank map part of the gamification doesn't exist for the Genesis holders. They actually get to basically have a permanent spot on the map, right?
Exactly, and their utility. So on our website, that what we're gonna display in the coming days is the fact that we say very specifically that our Genesis collection is initial supply is 400. Okay, and this is because through the gamifications, through us being able to deliver what we promised, people are gonna want to buy into this canvas. Okay, people are gonna want to buy into this Genesis collection, and the only way for them to do that is through our gamified experience of the second generation. And we have every week there's 5 places available, and every week the whole canvas is gonna shuffle. So the chances are that you're gonna own 4 exact ones on top of each other to burn to 4 32x32 equals 1 64x64. You need to hold a very specific token number that is positioned on a map in order to spiral into this Genesis collection.
It sounds complicated. It does sound complicated, but when I have Zeppy mapping out for me and like pointing out for me, it's actually far more simple. I think the cool bit for me is that I like this gamification for the NFTs and like leveling up in that way. It's actually a club I wanted to launch some way. So when these guys came to me and it's literally everything that I had like mapped out in my notebook, I was like, fucking hell, like get me on board. The thing that I like, have you touched on the all 4 of them need to agree in order to sell that spot? Have you touched on that, Max? Is that what you were getting into?
Yeah, that's what I was getting into. Yeah,
okay.
But I think Zeppy explains it a lot better.
I can touch into it for sure, and we can. Okay, so this is also really hard to do on a stage because usually I just pull up.
You need a whiteboard, bro. I swear you need a whiteboard.
You need a whiteboard for it. You need a whiteboard, but that's kind of also the stage that we're at as well. Like in terms of its conceptualization of what this is. It's like trying to find the best way that we can pitch this to people, and
very true.
The community is getting all of the alpha today on this one, so it's fine. But all of the alpha are the initial.
They deserve it, man. They really fucking deserve it.
Dude, I know,
it's these motherfuckers here.
It's but yeah,
we out here crushing the game, and we on IMX. They gonna respect us. We out here
still on IMX. You guys have another migration.
Still on IMX, man. I hope they're not in the crowd. They can come in my neck.
What?
They in the crowd? They're not in the crowd.
Let's go on about the gamification because that.
Let's go.
So I'll let you explain it, Zeppy, but it's really cool for me.
Yeah, so the way that it works is that you essentially, like you said, like Max said, you have the central grid is made out of the 400 initial Genesis collection, which, like I was already talking to you guys about, that will be going to, very, very specific set of product influencers, founders, and other whitelist winners. So the majority of that will be then established there. From there, the grid itself, that larger map, that blank map that we keep talking about, the 12.8K supply is of a smaller 32 by 32 canvases that go around around the 400, in a spiraling progression. So. And the idea for it, one of the ideas of the gamification for this is the fact that, in order to get into the Genesis and to get a permanent piece on this blank map, because every week it is shuffling, right? Everything other than that 400 initial, all of the other tiles are shuffling all the time. So every week the numbers get shuffled around, the token IDs get shuffled around, and the first grid that is basically available or to become another one of those 64 by 64 Genesis canvases is made up of 4 random token IDs, right? And so you are going to have the chances of you owning by yourself all of those 4 tokens every week is like
Extremely slim.
tidies.
Yeah, it's so stupidly slim. Yeah.
So you're going to have to essentially there's going to have to be some kind of
My favorite part.
where you're going to have to essentially find we connect you with the others who hold those token IDs at the same time or that week. So those the 4 tokens that are eligible to be burnt into the next Genesis canvas so that it becomes a fixed part of the blank map.
But there has to be an agreement there. There's 4 token IDs that have to agree. They all have to agree to burn into the Genesis. And if you have all 3 agreeing and one's like, fuck you, I want to sell it for 1 ETH, you can have it for 1 ETH and then you can have it. And that's sort of the gamification that we have there, whereby, you know, it's 3 people that want to get that Genesis NFT, and then one person's like, do you know what? I know you guys really want it. Fuck you guys, pay me for it. That's sort of the gamification, one option of the gamification we have. The other option is the person's just not active, and you're like, all 3 of you are like really ready to go, but you can't buy it because the person's not active. You know, it creates like a fun element where like these 4 people will have to agree, and like it's almost like an experiment kind of that. The cool part, we can like have the social element there, and they're chatting shit to each other, you know, trying to get each other to sell and stuff. That was the fun part for me.
Yeah, and
you guys got wolf sold, that's for sure.
For real, because I've thought about doing this before. I thought, you know, what's the best way to set out a collection and gamify it in the way that the NFTs are, the like supplies are mutable, where it's not just like a static supply, you know, it actually changes, and it changes over time. And I thought this would be the best way to do it. And then Zeppy just literally one day I said, I'm not having any calls today, and I ended up doing loads of calls. And Zeppy's like, jump on this call. I'm like, for fuck's sake. I get on the call, sit with these guys for like an hour and a half. Okay, fair enough. I need to jump on board. This is exactly what I wanted to do for so long.
Let's go. I like the synchronicity in here.
I will be honest, I do actually have to bugger off though, so I'll let you guys continue with the AMA. I'm literally out like with my friends right now, having a couple of drinks, and I'll be honest, a couple of spliffs. I'll be honest, you know, we're having a good time out here tonight.
I know, that's right. You get your fresh air. Don't be a straight hermit like us DJs over here.
For real. I hope you guys have a beautiful time in the AMA, and keep enjoying. Is there anything else you wanted me up here for, Max or Zeppy? Anything to talk about? We'll just like chat shit up here on the stage, keep the Nuggets entertained.
No, I really appreciate it.
I hope you know this is recorded, huh?
Yeah,
it's recorded. No, this is not Wolfie. This is actually this is Ramo speaking. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good
All right, take care, my man. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, see you soon, man.
Ramo's a nug too. That's another one.
Nuggets.
Yeah, so I'll go through a little bit more. So I think I went through the gamification of that. And literally, you know, the reason that we're actually called blank and how we're going to portray this is that every single letter of the character is for a different area of the business, right? I got contacted by a manager that was doing cyber babies. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, with their bot system, but so one of the cloud managers with them, they're like, oh, we want to do something similar, and we want to work with you with blank in order to make this happen. And we have some really talented Discord managers as well, and they want to develop really customized bots. For example, giveaway bots that collect not only addresses, but also not only Discord IDs, but also addresses, a customized verification process. Also, we're going to do a different kind of NFT bot that will either do mass bidding, but that also requires a little bit of API tweaking. I won't go too much into detail, but yeah, B will stand for bots, L will stand for listening and chatting. For example, hosting AMAs only solely for innovative projects. In the next couple of days, we're gonna host block gems, which is a very innovative way for them to, you know, analyze Discord engagement, Twitter engagement, analyzing OG followings of different projects. And one of the,
I think we got those in another server that I'm in. They're giving those cool bar graphs on like Twitter stuff, right? Yeah, those dudes are cool. I've been meaning to set up a meeting to get them here in the nugs.
I got you, mate. I'll set up for you.
Oh, well done, sir.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, we talked very in depth that they're really bullish on us and we're really bullish on them. So yeah, their bots are in our server right now, and we're gonna host them on Twitter Space. If you guys want to do a Discord, I'll try to get them involved. Their server, their bots actually went into champs only, I think, yesterday or something.
Yeah, because that's how I know about them. I'm a part of the WGMI network through one of their servers, Deep End Research. And Deep End Research, I believe, was the ones that brought them to the WGMI network. So they would have been in champs.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're gonna incorporate is the bot system, and the second is this AMA, and the third is A is advisory. Jess and ZPi have so much experience in this advisory space. It's a shame to not utilize that and help other innovative projects to bring them to life. And the fourth is the most interesting. All the art stuff that we've been talked about, that's gonna go under the banner of Not So Blank. And under that banner, we already have four projects that is showing interest and signed contracts in order to release them. And all the Genesis holders are going to get free mints and early access to these projects. And the last one, and the last one is K, which is keys. This is a especially designed ticketing system done by Morad. We're trying to get it patented. He is trying to get it patented, to be fair. He developed a custom ticketing system that I cannot share it, where he will kill me. I'll
kill you. Don't worry.
just shut me up if I tell too much. Exactly. It's a customized ticketing system that takes into account of how the modern day ticketing scanning QR codes work. Gary V, VCon, how they will work. I'm not so sure how they will work at the door, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work as well as this. We had a demo. It takes around 5 seconds or less. I think 1 second to scan and 0.5 seconds for it to go through. And it checks whether or not you hold the NFT. Then boom, you get either let through, go into the door, or you get rejected. And this system is going to be integrated into Blank for our IRL events as well in the future.
Okay, I think the only thing we didn't touch on is when are you aiming to drop? And
the mint is targeted in 2 weeks' time.
Okay. And did you publish a mint price yet?
No. The reason for that being first, if I was to have this dropped about 2 weeks or 2 weeks and a half ago, the mint price, I think it would be a lot more different than what I had in mind. Right now, also because it's a low supply, I don't want to price it too high. I don't think it will do well. And also, I don't think it's a good entry point for a lot of the artists in our community. So we need to price accordingly. However, we are in talks with some of the platforms that we are going to get like probably 1 week access or 1 month access to. So we have to take that into consideration as well. Right now, me and Zepi talked a lot about the mint price. It's just really hard to say because of the collabs that is coming and the partnership that is coming. It's hard to determine right now, but it's definitely won't be extremely high.
Court has a question. I'm gonna ask one more and then let Court ask hers. So you're aiming towards the end of this month. Mint price hasn't been published. Supply, I believe you're saying the Genesis is 400, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then when do you envision you'll start growing the supply for like your phase 2?
Yeah.
Like how long after the Genesis do you think that would be?
The really cool thing is that the phase 2 is actually already developed, and so we're in this unique position where we could actually drop the phase 2 in relatively similar time frame, and we're just basically finalizing just the last couple of things as well there. So first of all, a lot of the things that we talked about, we wanted to just solidify a few of these things. Like let me be absolutely real with you. Like Nifty Nuggets has just gotten like the most amount of alpha we've ever given out on Blank, and that's obviously like, I mean, just the level of like just how goated this freaking community is obviously like just a testament.
We appreciate that.
No, and it's like, and it's absolute, it's an absolute pleasure in that regard. But one of the biggest things that I'm like really cautious about, and I guess why I always like try to hold back a little bit on some of this stuff, is that in this market and the space, like I've seen what happens, like kind of in terms of, I mean, all of you, I'm sure have too, just by virtue of kind of like the length and time spent here and the kind of the projects that you've seen come and go. There's things that we're going to have to do to kind of react to the reception and the response that we're going to get, as well as some things that we're tweaking right now. We're obviously also bringing Wolf on board to try and help us massively with, like, bringing some of these other ideas to the gamification and like the tokenomics evolution as well. So once that's all really stabilized, that's when I'd love to kind of think about, okay, this is when phase 2 is going to become a thing. But in the meantime, we actually want to also engage our phase 2 whitelist, first of all, obviously build that whitelist up, and because it is a much bigger supply, kind of try to figure out the distribution space for that, but at the same time, like really engage those users within the Discord and within the community, so that we can actually focus on community building as well. Because one of the big dangers that you have is that you start growing this community out like exponentially, and it starts growing out on like incredibly weak fundamentals, which we are very much trying to avoid. And so far, we've been so happy with how it's been, like how we've been building it, and how we've been building this kind of a very initial community of 400 Genesis holders and lots of more interested blanks who truly, like, when we do this, when we come into our AMAs and we talk to you about the vision, and also like get that feedback as well as to like what you guys are really interested in, what you're responding super well to, and what you like Court was saying with her feedback of like understanding the bigger picture of this and getting people to understand what we're trying to do with this. And then this is not just another like random like gamified thing on OpenSea that you're going to be able to like doodle on and then just like leave. That's what, if when we feel that message has been conveyed appropriately, I think that's when we'll really think about like sort of phase 2.
Cool. I'm confident that I touched on what I wanted to touch on. I believe we went through all the community questions. Other than Court, she also has a question now. Feel free, Court.
Yeah. So looking at the webpage that you put out there, it looks like the initial tool for this has already been developed. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is around sort of like the logistics of how you guys are operating this as a business. So it looks like if you have a relatively small collection size and you haven't really given a range of what your mint price would be, how are you planning to support your devs then as you go through this roadmap? And will the funding more so be coming from further releases, or is this a passion project for you guys where it's more sweat equity at this point, or?
Yeah, so our devs is too talented for us to give to anyone else. Period. And yeah, so that,
like, yeah, the guys just freaking cracked.
Yeah, so they are on board and they are taking a percentage. And to be fully transparent, we're not going to make any money from the first Genesis. You're right, it is a passion project. But what we want to establish is a firm ground in the market that we are, blank. But what the blank holders will get is going to be what we will be able to provide underneath Not So Blank, and also underneath the second collection when we have a firm ground. We have done a lot of analysis of projects that is very cash grabby, of projects that have a lot of high mint prices, and going into alpha group is like 2 ETH for the initial mint, and all they get is whitelist and some alpha calls. And this entry point is too high, in my opinion, at this current state, and also it's not a good way to show that this is a passion project for us, and what we're able to bring is the additional utility attached to it. However, with that said, we did discuss this and thinking like, for example, Zoovers, they're super successful now, but they are going on probably, don't quote me on this, or small Genesis collections are going on their Genesis fund, and they need a second collection in order to build the universe that they want to. So this is also a concern, and you're absolutely right. And this is where our Not So Blank art pieces drop. And it will be free mint for Genesis holders, but there will also be a large number of supply that will be pushed out for public and pre-sales. So from that, we can also generate enough revenue in order to push Blank and in order to push the game development, and also what we want to do in the future for Blank.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that there's obviously a good argument for that in the current environment with all the cash grabs. So I think that makes sense to be able to sort of prove what you're building and your value before expecting more. So just wanted to clarify if it was a relatively high mint with a low collection or not, but it doesn't sound
What would you classify as a high mint?
Honestly, right now, most people think anything above like 0.15, 0.2 is relatively high for a lot of things. I mean, I guess it also depends on what kind of NFT it is, because I think gases kind of can justify a little bit more. But I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things out there. Like, what was that one that we saw recently that was like 0.88 or some crazy stuff?
Oh, yeah,
like,
meta mansions.
Yeah. So I guess it's all relative, but I think that right now the sentiment is anything above like 0.15 is.
I would agree. Above 0.15 is really high for a high supply project. I would agree, but well, as I said, we have no idea. I mean, we have a sort of idea, but we need to set the price closer to the mint date in order to capture the most value and to analyze all the partnerships and all the utility we can bring at the drop, and that's when the pricing will be the most accurate.
Got it.
I don't know if you guys touched on this, but earlier 252B12 asked, or is it 252B12? I don't know. Messes with my OCD. Can people in the future select a number of canvases they really like to create a custom IMG image / NFT?
Select a number of canvases, as in like combine them in a way, or
he's talking in the chat, so let's see what he says.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, combine them as you want. Yes, that is what.
Yeah, so we were sort of exploring the possibility of like how to actually extend the canvases sort of across each other, and obviously like what we mentioned is that there's that permanent burning ability of taking those 4 32 by 32 canvases and burning them into a 64 by 64 if on that week you manage to get all 4 people that have to agree to burn it. And that's going to be one of the ways that you can sort of also combine with the underlying art that was in those canvases potentially. Like we're still toying, like we're seeing whether that would work well and or not. But let's say you own multiple NFT canvases. They are, as of right now, they would be like considered relatively separate. But I can tell you that there is going to be, again, like right at the start of what I was talking about, and this is the stuff that we haven't really touched on, is the gamification aspect of like what the canvas's ability is going to, what you're going to be able to do with a canvas and with the canvas ecosystem in general, past just the blank map, or once we kind of bring the tokens into play, and there will be some. I'll keep it at that. There will be some stuff there in terms of interactivity.
Cool. Anybody else? Any other question anyone would like to come up and ask? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Should I say forever hold your sauce? So I personally would like to run up on the people from the Proof Collective and tell them, hey guys, because from what I understand, you guys know about this Proof project, right?
Yeah, freaking 90 Flora.
Yeah, that's the one. So I did a little bit of research on them, and what I'm gathering is there's like some real bigwigs in that group, and some of them are artists. And I'd love to run up on them like, hey, come on, let's collab. Send over 3 artists. Y'all pick 3 canvases that we'll raffle off who it could be. And y'all create something on there. We do some kind of collab, something. Y'all got the Moonbirds thing dropping right now. I mean, man, my mind is going a mile a minute at like collabs that could be done, but I might be going too crazy with them, to be honest.
No, nothing is too crazy, mate. This is the kind of thing that, well, we love to hear.
All right.
Any suggestions as well, guys? Like, once you're in the community and this is the thing. It's like, I think this is one of the last things I'll really say. And probably another reason as to why I really like to kind of make sure that people give us their input into this, because we're still so early on, I think, in this journey. Like, it doesn't feel like it, like, because we've been building for a while. We're almost ready to release, and it feels crazy. But at the same time, this is not just a blank canvas for us, but it's a blank canvas for everyone else. And I really want it to be a blank canvas in terms of the project tone going forward as well. Like, one of the big things is getting the community input on what is possible with these, what can be possible with these, because we're also not going to pretend like we even like ourselves can come up with the extent of everything that can be done with this. And we're trying our best. We're bringing some of the best minds in the space, as you know, into the project. But it's the community that also ultimately should shape where the project is heading. So yeah, please, and jump in, interact with the community, and just reach out. Like, we're always happy to have a chat, and always just any ideas that you have, any collaborations, partnerships that you think would be beneficial as well, and any kind of like things that you'd love to kind of see in the future.
Given that the marketing is successful, and given that the collab management is successful, and the collab outreach to get notable and bigger famous artists to like come and do something on the blanks, the Genesis, could you imagine like just gamifying it, like how expensive the NFT, or how much ETH, I don't want to say expensive, the NFT could cost of the last person holding out that refuses to let anyone draw on their canvas? But but by then, let's say a couple of notable people have drawn, and we've had some big sales. So, and the community's holding a high floor, maybe an ETH, maybe even 2 ETH, who knows? So word's getting out, and you got the one person in the server that's like, nope, until I don't know, until XYZ person comes and does mine, I'm not doing anything with it. It's staying blank. Forget the utility.
Yeah.
I'm just playing with it in my head, and I like it. I guess that's why Vitalik was such in love with the loot boxes, because the ability of the human mind to create, and the fact that you guys then did it where it's like, yeah, well, what separates us is you can just jump on Opensea and create there. Like, we can make it real simple. We don't got to get crazy and big artists. A bunch of people could just go on Opensea and draw on people's stuff, and if somebody likes your stuff, they'll create an NFT out of it. That's dope.
Exactly that. It's exactly that. It's like you own a wall outside, like your apartment or something, and it's just like and graffiti artists are basically walking past and just drawing stuff on your wall, and you choose. But imagine you choose what you like that wall to actually look like at the end of the day, and you keep wiping it if you're not keen with it. But you're like, hey, yeah, you know what? That's the piece of art that really sticks with me, and that's the piece of art that I want to display. That's the piece of art I'll keep on my, I don't know, on the gutter of my store or whatever. So that's kind of like how it struck me initially, and then just the idea that you can keep that like genuine ssense of like exploration, and just like kind of capture creativity right there at the apex of where people are interacting with NFTs, so that I don't know whether when the muse of creativity strikes you, where you're like scrolling OpenSea and you're just like, oh, you know what, I just saw this like, I don't know, crazy NFT, and I just like, it kind of inspires you to draw something else, and it's about reducing that friction as much as possible.
Not so blank. I would, if we didn't, we're going on 2 hours now. If we weren't going on 2 hours, I would start peppering you guys on questions on not so blank. I like it. I even like the way it sounds.
Yeah, man. A lot of things are being explored, and really, really exciting stuff. The thing. What I want to say is like, funny that you say like, imagine the last guy that holds on to it and gets off a ridiculous price. Well, what we imagine, we were just thinking about this gamification. Just every single week there's 5 opportunities to be burnt into the Genesis. Just imagine on OpenSea or only bot we show on Twitter that one blank canvas that is 32x32 gets sold for 3 ETH. Like, well, what is that? We're sold for 10 ETH. Like,
game over. Yep. That's the kind of stuff that I'm envisioning that could happen. Like, it could not, right? It could not take off, right? But like, is the creativity and idea and I guess the foundation for it to take off? Is that what you guys have created? It sounds to me like you have.
Yeah. So So at first we need to do this. That's why we're not gonna release the second gen until we have released at least one of the not so blank. So people understand that the artist within this is not joking around. It's good art. All Genesis holders definitely. So the first one, Zipa, don't stop me. I will say this because this is fine. The first time
I've given up at this point, man. I've resigned at this point.
The first one that will be released under the Not So Blank banner will be a free mint. It will be a banner project and will be a free mint to all Genesis holders.
Nuggets, don't be in there snitching when y'all in their chat telling them until they tell their community. They're not going to be happy. Like, oh, you didn't tell us first.
Oh no! Hopefully you're recording this, so am I. I will. So I will release it to the community as well.
Cool. It takes us a couple of days to publish the recording anyway. So you guys are in the free and clear. Okay, like we touched on a lot. Like anything that you feel that we didn't touch on, or anything that we did touch on that you'd like to expound on, feel free. The stage is yours. Any last thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Not really. I mean, I think we covered so much in these 2 hours.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. We probably covered more than any of the other previous AMAs that we've done. But it's also like, I hope you guys can see, like, we're just so excited about this, and we are genuinely, like, I mean, the possibilities with this, we are almost like in awe of what can be done. And I just wanted to like give a huge shout out to Max, because honestly, like, he was like the original kind of conceiver of the idea of just kind of like bringing that, and then just through just his ridiculously hard work, he's just gone around, brought in like some of the most talented people in the space, and then just made this a reality. And it's kind of like, it's crazy to just have seen it myself evolve kind of like from and had a front seat to the whole thing. I've been just amazed by everything. So yeah, I really hope that you guys, jump into the Discord, engage with it, have a look at what you can do. The current way of like basically getting our whitelist is to essentially submit your art on the thing, and we essentially go through all of the on the application or on the Discord as well, and we go through the submissions and essentially pick out whitelist there. So there'll be like plenty of whitelist opportunities sort of for that Gen 2 collection, and yeah, we're going to keep growing. Like, we're going to keep growing at kind of that value proposition as well, and everything else that we're going to do. I mean, I am a huge believer in not talking about it, but instead delivering, and then showing you what we're delivering, so that you don't have to like just buy into some kind of faith or anything like that, but you can actually see what we're doing and what we're building. So
talk about synchronicity. So I'm in here, and I've noticed, like, in the last 1 or 2 AMAs, I haven't thanked whoever brought it to us, which is usually very important to me. I just got a lot on my mind, which I've been forgetting. And while I was literally thinking that and wondering how I was going to phrase that, see if you guys knew who brought it, the person hit me up in DMs, and it's like, wow, I see the AMA went well. I'm the one that came in. So big shout out to Cloud for bringing us in the homies from Blank. Really appreciated and enjoyed AMAing this project, this team. I think it's very interesting. I think it could be something big. And even if it doesn't turn out to be big, not to say that it won't, I think that the approach that you guys have taken is notable and deserves attention, deserves people to stop and look and see what it is you guys are building over there.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us on as well. Like, and thank you so much, guys, for listening and bearing with us for the 2-hour AMA. That's really appreciated.
Nice. All right, Nugs, that's gonna cap off another awesome AMA here. The Blank team came over and shared about their awesome project. So to everyone that hung out with us, thank you so much, and bye.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
If you like this AMA, reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get access to our future AMAs. You can also follow us on Twitter at NuggetsNifty, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll see you all next time.